Mr. President, I rise today to commemorate a terrible tragedy. Today is a solemn day and a chance to reflect. 2 years ago, in my hometown of Las Vegas, thousands of people gathered on a warm evening at the Route 91 Music Festival. They were there with friends, partners, family. They came to listen to country music and relax and just celebrate. 2 years ago on that evening, they heard the pop of what sounded like fireworks. After seconds for some, minutes for others, they understood what was happening, an attack that would become the worst mass shooting in modern American history. In the space of 11 minutes, Las Vegas was transformed. In the narrow window of time, 58 people were mortally wounded and hundreds of others were injured, many of them grievously. I still think about the stories of those who ran into the crowd to help others, those people who made a commitment that night to our community to protect others from harm, police, firefighters, and other first responders who ran toward the festival grounds to rescue others. They made that commitment that October evening. The people who piled the wounded into their cars, vans, and pickups, they too offered a hand to help strangers. So did the doctors and nurses who rushed to the hospitals and the hundreds of Las Vegas and Reno residents who stood in line to donate blood. They all felt viscerally the desire to help those who were suffering in whatever way they could. And we made a commitment to all those caught up in the devastating attack at the Route 91 Festival, a promise that I honor today. I vowed to do all I could to help my community heal, to remember those who died, and to support those who bear scars of the body or of the spirit. During that dark time 2 years ago, my city came together to help and sustain the wounded and their families, people from all over the world, neighbors and strangers alike. I've never been prouder of Las Vegas. So many different groups worked in tandem that evening. There were the brave actions of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Clark County School District Police Department, the Las Vegas Fire Department, and the Clark County Fire Department, who unhesitatingly risked their lives to stop the attack and rescue survivors. Health institutions across the state joined the effort, like American Medical Response, Medic West Ambulance, Community Ambulance, the University Medical Center, Sunrise Hospital and Medical Center, the Valley Health System, Dignity Health. And so many doctors and nurses, including Nellis Air Force Base medical professionals, worked then and in the weeks and months that followed to restore people to health. There were the Red Cross and the Department of Veterans Affairs, who supported the hospitals with their mobile units. There was the staff at United Blood Services, who worked doggedly to process donations from thousands of people in Las Vegas and Reno and elsewhere in Nevada. And there were many people and organizations here in Nevada nationwide that provided food, blankets, reduced airline tickets, and other ways to support the victims and their families. The FBI and the Nevada Victims of Crime Program helped families struggling with funeral and travel expenses. Airlines like Allegiant and Southwest also helped to cover costs. Donations poured in from Las Vegas and around the world. And the donations are still coming in to support the Children of the 58 Fund, which Nisha Tonk's family set up in remembrance of her to provide scholarships to children of victims. And donations are coming into the Kern County Foundation Day of Remembrance Fund, which also provides scholarships to victims and survivors. All of these people put aside their own needs, sometimes for moments and sometimes for months, to help others. They made a commitment to the victims. But part of that commitment simply has to be working to prevent other families in America from going through what families went through on that October 1st night as they waited in the Family Reunification Center, crying out for information about their loved ones, but terrified at what they would hear. Because here's the frightening part, the part that keeps me and so many of us across this nation up at night. The shootings haven't stopped since October 1st, 2017. Unimaginably, people who survived the Route 91 shooting have found themselves terrorized by gun violence again since that tragic night. Some of them were at the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks, California, just over a year after October 1st, when a gunman opened fire and killed or wounded 24 people. Others were in Gilroy, California, just this July, where a man killed or wounded over a dozen people at an annual festival. Can you imagine going to enjoy yourself one afternoon or evening and having that place of community and celebration turn into a war zone? And then having that happen not once in some horrible nightmare come to life, but multiple times. We cannot let this waking nightmare continue in America. We have to make a commitment to each other, a promise that we won't leave each other and those we love to be victims of this senseless violence, not when we can do something to stop it. Americans know this. They know that we're needlessly endangering our children and each other. They know that common sense gun reform could both respect responsible gun ownership and fight the public health crisis that mass shootings and senseless gun violence represent. That's why people in both parties support sensible gun violence prevention reform by huge margins. They know that we simply cannot sidestep our responsibility to each other. We have to reduce these senseless mass shootings and save lives. And we can do that while also respecting the rights of responsible gun owners. We owe our communities that. The families of those wounded on 1 October haven't given up on their responsibilities. They are still there for their loved ones day after day as the visible and invisible wounds have continued to heal and as people have learned again to walk, talk, and work. The doctors and nurses who have cared for the injured have not given up. They don't say, well, it's been 2 years, so we just won't care for patients anymore. We haven't taken down the many moving memorials to 1 October, like the mural at the corner of Westcliff and Antelope Way, or the 58 wooden crosses near the Las Vegas welcome sign on the Strip, or the community healing garden on Casino Center Boulevard. Just the opposite. Clark County Museum has been carefully photographing and cataloging over 17,000 items, from Las Vegas Strong t-shirts and bumper stickers to stuffed animals, from artificial flowers to rosaries that people left at memorials to the Route 91 victims and survivors. That care and that attention, that's what a commitment is. When you make one, you have to be there for the long haul, to see the thing you've promised to the end. And so I will always remember the 1 October victims and their loved ones, always commemorate their loss. I know it's a loss that can never be fully repaired, but only eased by time. I will always honor the bravery of those who sacrifice their own safety to help others, and I will never stop fighting to make America safer, to save families across the country from what I watched families in Las Vegas go through that night, from what my own family went through as we waited to hear back from whether my niece was safe or not as she attended that concert that night. So this is our commitment. We have to continue to remember, but we have to do something about it. Our time is now. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.